Hey, what's up you guys? We're going to do another animation appreciation video, and we're going to be talking about the latest fight that happened between Deku versus Kacchan and My Hero Academia. Okay, so let's start from right here. So this is the very first beginning of the fight. Not much really to say. We have Deku's very hesitant to really fight, and Bakugo is all ready to fucking go, and he already launches himself forward to fight Deku. Good framework here. You can see his little pouty face. So if we continue forward from here, Kacchan goes towards Deku. He's going to hit him with his right hand, but we see a character dynamic here where Deku has already fought Kacchan before, and he knows that Kacchan knows that that is a hook that he has already used before in a fight. So Kacchan, not Kacchan, but Deku has already predicted this. You see some good hand animation here where it goes towards the camera, and then Kacchan releases a fury of an explosion here. And if we go forward, Deku's in the air. Kacchan is just demanding for Deku to fight him back, and then he hits him, tries to hit him in the air. And this is only like a few seconds, but this was actually animated right here. These explosions right here was animated by, I think it's called Norimitsu Suzuki. I think that's how you pronounce his or her name. Go back a little bit. These explosions are actually pretty good. They're only for a few seconds, but look how like the white and like the orange and yellow just contrast with each other, as well as you see the windows right here burst out because they're just taken aback from the impact of the explosion. Pretty good detailed there, especially with adding in the scenery, indicate how powerful the explosion is. So now as we move forward, now this is a really cool part actually, but the camera brings itself towards Kacchan. We see this really cool ability that he does where he like morphing into this spiral, where his flames are like this tornado, and he just launches himself and spirals towards Deku, and it looks really cool. Like, these frames are really great. The frame is a little dim, the lighting is. That's because of a dumb fucking thing that happened with Pokemon back in, like, I don't know what year it was, but there was like this controversy with this Pokemon episode where there's a bunch of flashing lights, and from that day on, every fucking broadcasting station has to like dim anything that they think might cause a seizure for kids because of what happened in like this Pokemon episode a long time ago. So that's why like this shit's dim. This scene continues on, and we see Kacchan just fucking spiral. You see like the orange and yellow flames just hug him and spiral out. It looks really dope, and the way he just hits the ground and it's just destroying the concrete is really cool. This is a really cool move by Kacchan that he uses right here. You can even see as Kacchan gets closer, you see the lighting just hit Deku from the front here, and you can see his expression where he's very concerned. And we continue forward. Kacchan just launches himself out of his spiral and uses his right hook here, and these are some really good frames. You see the very thickness of the lines of his movement, and he uses his right hand, but he just misses, and Deku brings up his foot as Kacchan explodes the ground again. Now this is where this is a little too fast, I think, for the audience, because even I was like, all right, what the fuck's going on here? The way Kacchan just kind of transitions here to projectile himself into the air, and the camera moves up, and there's like multiple different posing frames here that are just a little too fast. He goes from here to here to here. Like, you can tell what's happened, but I just think it's a little too fast for even Kacchan to be able to pull off, because then he blows up from the air. This is a good frame though. This is a really good worm's eyes view of this little pose right here. You see Deku is coming towards Kacchan as he's like ready to fucking hit him. This is just a really good. This is like a good drawing frame actually. But as we continue on, Kacchan comes in with his right hook. He keeps Deku there for a little bit. You can see like this gush, like wind coming from the back of Deku, because that punch was just so powerful apparently. Kacchan keeps the pose for a little bit, and then Kacchan releases the power of the punch, I guess. Deku's taken aback. You can see like the pain he's in. But this scene right here, pretty cool what they did. I was expecting as soon as Deku had hit the railing that they would just transition to another close-up shot of like Deku in pain or something, but actually they keep the frame there for a second, because Deku's there, he's in distraught, he's in pain, and then he notices that Kacchan's actually still coming towards him, and just barely dodges Kacchan's attack there, but Kacchan still is able to get him. He grabs him by his arm. Now these frames do look a little weird because they're not so detailed, and the audience is able to focus on them. You can kind of see like the weird facial expressions going on here with like fucking Deku, and Kacchan, but it's still the purpose of them and the movement of which Kacchan throws Deku is still very easy to tell. And then we clip here to a close-up of Deku like, oh shit, I'm spinning, and then Kacchan. Now this is, again, maybe some more detail could have been used here. But the movement and the purpose of these frames are still, you know, very easy to tell, because as Kacchan throws him towards, throws him out of the way, and then Kacchan apparently used way too much of his strength, because even he gets pulled back, as we see here. Psh, yeah, he hits the railing, is thrown to the ground. These are some pretty good frames of him falling down, tumbling. Okay, so this is actually the last sequence that we're going to be looking at, and it's probably the peak of the fight that everyone can remember, because this is actually animated by Yutaka Nakamura. And I actually forgot to mention the spiral flame move that Kacchan pulled off was animated by Yuki Sato. Now we're going to go here to Yutaka Nakamura's animation, which he's been a standout animator for the show and for its fights. You're immediately going to recognize, like, oh, he definitely did the Todoroki versus Deku fight, and he definitely did the time when Kacchan escaped. And you're going to tell by the style that he uses here, so let's continue on. So as we start here, we see Kacchan is just got hit by Deku, and we see here by the indication of the wound on his arm. But we see that Kacchan is very, very excited, very dedicated to now give Deku his all. We see all this like thick line work, which is already kind of an indicator of Nakamura's style. Because as we continue on here, the camera zooms in on Kacchan. We see that he's just, oh man, he's like a fucking masochist. He's so fucking ready to take on Deku now, and he's, yeah, there it is. He's moving towards the camera. Actually, let me just look at this. Look at this fucking framework. The way his head just transitions in each frame, and this like these harsh lines, man. It just like the image just processes into the audience's head like this fucking scary looking dude who is ready to fucking go on the kill. It is really great, and it's a really good character moment as well for Kacchan and Deku, because this fight's a lot more. And then people have mentioned this already, how the My Hero Academia fights aren't like thought out as well. Like Naruto has some really good thought out fights, like how Rock Lee has speed that could like go around Gaara's sand shield, and he's able to penetrate Gaara that way, or how Shikamaru in Naruto is able to like use his shadow possession to catch Temari off guard in that one tournament arc scene. If you haven't seen Naruto and you don't know what I'm talking about, well, let me just say that like this, My Hero Academia kind of just goes down to who can punch the other person harder, but it's really about the characters and their inner battle that they're having that makes the fight so entertaining. But there is still a lot of good work that's done here to make, you know, just to entertain these ideas, as we see. So Nakamura likes to do this thing where he transitions from the style of the anime into like this sketch, like anytime there's like some type of explosive power happening. He did this with Todoroki, and he does it here with Kacchan, where like the background is like all pencil sketched, like it's completely white. It's just a completely white energy that's being displayed here. And you can see the indication of Kacchan here, obviously. And a little bit of a black streak that's going on. But this is something that Nakamura really likes to do when he animates. At least in My Hero Academia. I've just recently got into some of this stuff, and he seems to mainly do this with this series. The explosive energy even turns the whole fucking frame black, and it goes on, and then we go back to the style of the anime. Now, granted, this does look a little weird, the way Kacchan moves here, because as we take from each frame here, he does look kind of odd. It kind of looks like Nakamura was having a little hard time to transition him going from simple shapes to more detailed shapes coming forward. But, you know, still looks pretty good. There's a blur effect, and he does the same thing with Deku here, where Deku have a burst of electricity, and then we see a frame of just explosive energy happening. And I'm not sure what effect they're using, but it kind of looks like they take the drawing or whatever frame of the drawing they're taking, and they take a brush and they just like do something like this to make to give the indication of speed, really. And if we go forward, we see the lightning indicates where the direction of where Deku just went, which is that way. And this is probably one of the coolest parts that's coming up, because as Deku launches forward, Deku and Kacchan just become like this burst of like energy. They're not even like, you don't even see their shapes, you don't even see them, you just see like this lightning and this like explosive power launched towards each other on this battlefield, and then they come into contact. And there's you might have missed this, but Kacchan actually anticipates the kick from Deku, and so he actually uses his arms to okay, he looks really dumb here. He looks really bad here, but you're just kind of supposed to get the indication that Kacchan is aware of this kick that's coming at him, so he uses his arms to change the trajectory of where he is, so he goes underneath Deku here, as you see, just barely missing this fucking powerful kick. There's a burst of lightning that happens from Deku's foot. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but then then there's Nakamura style of like this, you know, completely white out / sketch, and this is really cool. Like, I know All For One is the strength quirk, but the way that this lightning bursts from this scene here is so fucking cool looking, man. And it just gives off this like, man, this is like a powerhouse fight that's happening. And then we continue forward, and as Kacchan kind of gets back on his feet, he comes back in with a right hook, and he's screaming. He's ready to go on the attack, or not really a right hook, but more of like his right hand to explode. Deku comes back, and oh, it's so cool. You could totally miss this if you weren't like paying attention, but his eyes are actually glowing, and then they stop glowing when they go like over here. But it's so cool. It's the little thing that was added that just kind of brings more attention to it. Back to the leg, and then so here I guess Deku kind of got Kacchan in the. I think Kacchan blocked with his arm, because as you see, there's the fucking burst of power coming from him. I assume Deku's leg, his kick that's happening, and I think Kacchan blocked it with his arm right here, and he completely misses his chance to use his hand for an explosion, because as we see, we continue on. Kacchan goes completely white, and then Kacchan is Kacchan, it looks like he got hit. I'm assuming his arm blocked it, which is why he didn't take such a force of the impact. Even the lightning is consuming Kacchan right here. So then we continue on. Kacchan kind of stumbles. He's just kind of got the wind taken out of him. You can see the quick expression on his face of him being in pain. There we go, which is pretty good. And there's still consistency of the wound on his arm, which is great. As we continue on, we can see Kacchan kind of gets his bearing back a little bit. He's still a little bit of, still tumbling a little bit here. Then we go back to Deku, and I guess Deku's like a fucking ballerina, because in this sequence here, we see Deku just have this incredible footwork. Yeah, the way he just moves his legs, and the way, oh my god, the completely blacked out black background with like the only light indication is the lightning, so you're completely focused on just like the footing and the footwork that's done here. It's so fucking cool. I'm not really sure how necessary it is for Deku to do this, but I think the main reason Deku does it is so he can get the momentum to spiral himself towards Kacchan, because we see Deku start spinning here, and then he spins, and what's really cool is that he starts distorting into like a fucking blob, but then the lightning completely consumes the spiral. It's so cool. And then this is probably, and then another whiteout here for the explosive power that's about to happen. And then this is really cool, the way but the way he's able to move Deku's leg up, and just the timing between the spacing between each frame, it just really gives the indication and anticipation that there's like a really good kick coming. The way that the lightning just goes between this is just so cool. But then he brings the kick down, and like there's so much like, explosive power that even you can see. What's really cool is that even the clothes are being like animated by how powerful the wind current is from just Deku moving so much. So that's I just find that really neat, little nice detail there. Kacchan just fucking barely misses it, man. And the way they just bring the frame close to his face, like he's like you can tell that he's like actually like fucking concerned, like I'm gonna fucking die. Well, not die, but he's like, I'm actually might get kicked here. But he just barely misses it, and the way that they shot this is like in this slow motion type format, but Deku's kick just barely scraping by Kacchan's face. The little detail of the lightning coming across Kacchan is just such a nice touch, man. The way that they're able to use the lightning from All For One's power is just so cool. Kachan just barely misses, dodges, and then he's able to get his right hand up. And this is just basically straight from the Todoroki fight, where Todoroki just brings his hand forward and expands it to release a fucking wave of fire. And this is basically Nakamura does the same thing here with Kachan, where brings in his hand for an explosive boom, and then you see the classic again, you know, sketch frame, and then Deku is completely just completely taken by it. And the way that the light just comes in and fucking just consumes the whole frame. You also see Deku's hair fucking going crazy, as well as his shirt and his fucking skin, his cheeks. He's just like, oh shit, man. Like, it's so good, man. I know I'm just like praising Nakamura here, but it is really impressive what he's able to do. All the stuff that he thinks of. And then we get an interior shot of a building and the impact that this explosive had on it, where the window completely shatters. The explosion even pushes Kachan back, pulls right by the camera. Really good momentum speed there. And then he tumbles over here. And then a really nice touch is the smoke that just passes right by him. And there's still, you know, consistency, which is nice with the wound that he took from Deku earlier. And surprisingly, even though I would have thought that explosion would have completely knocked Deku out, Deku's actually on his feet. He's actually still ready to go. He's in actually a ready stance here to leap forward, which he is about to do. Nakamura frame, and then a burst of electricity just forms around Deku again, and then he just launches forward. And it's really cool. So Deku's still fucking in this fight. He's ready. Kachan is surprised. Deku's going forward. We got some dialogue happening. Kachan's like, I'm super angry, and he doesn't even have pupils. That's how angry it is. And then we're going to have like the last punch that's thrown here, which was really cool. And this was actually not animated by Nakamura. This was animated by Sakiko Uda. And this is where Deku was like, oh, you think I'm going to use my kick? Well, surprise, dude. Oh, by the way, even though the background is 3D and it's kind of easy to move a camera through a 3D environment, the actual 2D animation that's going on here with the characters in the air and the way the camera was able to move around them is still really impressive. Like, it's not easy to have like these consistent drawings when going from a camera angle like that. So props to Sakiko for that. And then this is a good pulling up frame of Deku here. You see that Deku's like, haha, my fists. That's right, I have those. And then Kachan's like, what? And then this is pretty good. These are some good line work here. The way the lines just go over Deku's fist, like wait for an explosive punch that just gets Kachan right in the fucking face. Grinds right into his cheek. The way the camera also just pulls up to Deku's face without being too distorted. Well, it gets distorted purposely. And you even see like his eye just, it's so cool. Good frame here. And then Kachan is, they're just in the air right now, and they're just in the air with Deku and his fucking fist and Kachan's cheek. But of course, Kachan does not give up just yet. Uses the last bit of energy, I guess he has, to pull on Deku's sleeve here. Like that's a pretty good mouth animation. And then he grabs onto the sleeve and is able to get the momentum to kick him in the gut, spin them over, and then he uses. This is a really like clever final move. Granted, you know, like I don't think it would actually work with like physics or gravity, but the way it's a pretty clever move for like, you know, for Kachan to pull off in, you know, an anime sort of sense. Oh wow, they actually completely did a negative frame here. That's cool. And then an explosive power launches from the top of the air to the ground, and the way the smoke just wraps around. And then, yeah, that's where Kachan wins the fight. He's completely detained Deku here. Deku has no way of getting back up with, you know... And by the way, the way it's framed as well is really good. Just the way he's just overpowered Deku here. Just to show that, like, yep, the fight's over. Kachan, I guess, won. Yeah, that's about it. That was all I kind of wanted to talk about with this animation appreciation video of the Kachan versus Deku fight. Part 2. If you guys liked it, let me know. There's some other animation bits by Nakamura and some other animators, of course, that I could go into from previous episodes. Like, I could talk about the Todoroki fight. There's some good stuff there. I could even talk about the scene where Bakugo escapes. That is probably my least favorite Nakamura animation, because there's like a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense narratively. But yeah, if you guys want me to like talk about those, let me know. Alright, well, that's about it. If you like this content, and if you would like to have your name in the credits, as well as get to see this 2 days before I release it on YouTube, feel free to subscribe to my Patreon for $1 a month. And I am currently working on a really well edited Spider-Man PS4 video because, oof, I love Spider-Man and I can't wait to get that video out for you guys. Hopefully it'll be out by next week. But other than that, I've been Zap from Zap Arts. I'll see you guys in the next video.